you guys. It's me, Dr. Torie. My book is officially out. And yes, it is time to talk about ACEs. You guys can find the books everywhere. However, I would encourage you guys to go to my website, Be VicTORIEus.com, and place your order today. Yes, it's time to talk about ACEs. Let's go, y'all.
Hello, 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 you guys. It's me, Dr. Victorious, the one that creates victory in others. And I'm here for another episode of Be Victorious. Now, listen, you guys know that we are in the Cycle Breaker series, and it is my pleasure and honor. I want to go through everything, but I would rather her share her story. I want you all to really know who she is and how special she is, not just for coaching, but just for mental health. And I think that's the wonderful thing with having this podcast by allowing people to share their story and their motivation behind who they are.
Raphaella Silva. I am a emotional intelligence coach. I am also a mental health and trauma advocate. I like to call myself an advocate because that's really what I am. Um, I I'm a survivor of many types of abuse before the age of 18. So whatever abuse has happened out here, I think I've actually dealt with it. I always say that my existence is a miracle in itself. Every day I say, there's got to be something I got to do on this earth because of not only how I've been able to survive, but also be able to share, talk about it as I still go through some things, because I don't think we ever really and stop going through things. But every morning I get up and I say, okay, what do I have to share for the world today when it comes to mental health, emotional health, um, that we can do so we can try to live a better quality of life.
And you know what? You're doing it and has been
Yeah.
doing it. But what's your motivation behind it? Like, because you're such a trailblazer. And
Mhm.
because I'm a researcher, of course, I did my research, found out who you were, saw all of the wonderful work you did, but there was something behind that. What is the motivation and drive
Mhm.
behind your everyday motivation for helping others heal?
I think many years ago, I did something called human design,
Mm.
for those who are familiar with what it is. And one of the things, because I do a lot of the spiritual work as well, because I think that's what's kind of kept me here. Um, One of the things that I discovered about myself was that my purpose, or what they call the incarnation cross, which is your purpose in your life, was to not only learn self-love, but also to learn universal love.
Mm.
So as I began to learn to love myself, I'm here to show the world on how to love themselves. And I thought it was such an impactful thing to know about me because it made sense as to why every time something happened, there was something within me that said, okay, get up, keep going, try again. Okay, this here didn't work, this love didn't work. I'm still gonna love anyway. I'm still gonna search for love. Like I never became bitter
Mm.
through any of the things that I went through. So the only explanation that I had was when I did the human design and it showed me that's because there's love within you and there's nothing that can actually dim that, remove that. It's almost like it's part of my makeup. So I can't undo it. It's almost like I can't remove the color of my skin. So I can remove that love that's within me that drives me every day to say, there's got to be something that has to give in this life. There's something we have to do to make it to feel better, to be better.
Right. And again, it's your motivation, it's your ambition, and it's your drive. Now, how long
Yeah.
have you been on this journey? How would you
Oh my
describe
God.
it as a cycle breaker?
I've been on this journey. The moment that I began to break the cycle was in my 20s,
Okay.
when I was working for um, this company, and this woman looked at me and said, "I think you're depressed." And I looked at her and I said, "I'm not depressed. I'm just having a bad day. I'm not, like, what are you talking about?" And because to me, depression was like, whoa, what are you talking about?
Right.
Until one day I didn't go to work for 5 days because I was crying for 5 days and I didn't know why.
Right.
And so I decided to take her on. I said, you know what? I'm going to look for help. And it took 3 therapists later for me to finally said, okay, I'm going to do this work. Um, and I began to go to therapy in my 20s when it wasn't popular to go to therapy. I'm now 52 years old. So back then,
Oh, shut your mouth and show me. Stop and pause. Baby, y'all cannot tell me black do not brag.
yeah,
Gorgeous. But that I think that comes with the love and what you ray and display if
yeah.
you mind me interrupting. But go ahead.
No, no worries. No worries. So I've been doing this work of healing. I wasn't calling it healing back then, since I was in my 20s. So I started going to therapy in my 20s when, like I said, it wasn't a popular thing to do. Like no one was talking about therapy, especially the Black community, the Latina community, because I'm also Latina. So it wasn't, so I was breaking so many cycles, and I've been on this journey ever since.
Wow. And here you are,
Yeah,
still breaking cycles.
yeah.
Because I mean, of course, as you know, it's Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And that's the reason why we're here. I think people need to understand and know that when we're placed on these journeys, it's us that have to make those decisions. And so for you to say that you
Mhm.
were younger, you're older than me. And I will say, even in the 90s, these conversations weren't happening. And I think that's what pushed me to educate about ACEs so much. It came out in 1998. I was already away from
Mhm.
my family, not knowing about ACEs and how much of an impact it had on me until after the
Yeah.
fact. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's the motivation and drive for me, just to, I always wanted to know. I had questions on everything. So the research is
Yeah.
what, drove me to do what I'm doing now, which is fine. But it's that awareness of ACEs that is key for me. So you do know about ACEs, correct?
I just discovered about ACEs a few weeks ago on your page.
Really?
I knew about all, yes, I knew all about these other things except for ACE until very recently. And I was so curious and I say, well, let me do mine. I wonder what mine is. And I was actually very shocked.
Really?
Not shocked in a sense of like I knew those things happened to me, but I didn't know how serious it actually was until I saw that score.
Right. Now, you okay with sharing your score?
Yes, I'm okay. It's 10 out of 11.
And what's interesting is that 11 is just that extra question. When I tell you it does not define
Mhm.
you, when people find out their score, it's just a score.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
define you at all. I think it's an awareness tool. There are people out there that use it for intake purposes. So, like therapists use
Hmm.
coaches use it. I'll be honest, I have trained people at barber salons and
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Because it's that
Yeah.
is so strong. And so, just like you saying when you talked about the young lady that said you're depressed, and you're like, that's kind of how the ACEs awareness is for me. Because when I found out about
Yeah.
it, oh, this is it. Oh my God. It just answered so many questions about my childhood, which made me want to learn about it some more. So I'm glad that it was
Yeah.
me. Hey, thanks so much. But when you found
I was like,
out it, did it make you, want to learn more, or, did it put you in a place where it made you feel okay? Like, what was your reaction when you found out your score?
so my reaction was, um, well, I have what's called quiet BPD.
Mhm. Tell us more about it.
So, what's that?
Tell us more about it.
So quiet BPD is borderline personality disorder.
Mhm.
And I have what's called quiet BPD, which is because when people think about borderline personality disorder, they think of people that are screaming, they're mine, I internalize all of it. Instead of shouting it out, I internalize. So I have what's called, I go through all the same process as a person that's screaming it out, but I'm doing it to myself. So instead of screaming at you, I'm screaming at me. So instead of being angry at you, I'm angry at me. So it comes this way, right? So they call it quiet BPD. So when I saw the ACE score and I saw all the things that were listed, it kind of reminded me of some of the traits, some of the reasons why I do have BPD. So it kind of like gave even more a clarity on that. But because I've also done, I even have more compassion for the inner child that lives within me. So it made me hold myself a little even more and say, I got you. I understand. You don't have to. So it allowed me to, where areas where I was screaming at myself because of the BPD that shows up, right? It allowed me to say, this is what happened. It just was a reminder of, this is what happened. This is why you're dealing with what you're dealing with. So because I have that conversations with myself. And so the ACE score allowed me to embrace myself a little closer, I would say, as opposed to scream at myself sometimes, when when I'm upset or something happens. So
Right.
that's what I think it allowed me to do.
Yeah. It sounds like it shifted your perspective, and it sounds, like it helped, which is good because it sounds like it helped you understand your story. Yes? No?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just
Yes.
wanted to make
Yes,
sure.
it did. And I've
Okay.
been doing a lot of and I've been doing a lot of ancestral trauma work as well. I've done a few courses. So it also allows me to look at my family and look at them for their humanity, not so much to continue to be in that position of, because a lot of my abuse happened in my family and it
Right.
still goes on to this day in certain family members. So it just allows me to also understand them, but at the same time know why I can continue to be there. Like it's a reminder, like you can't keep staying in that space of abuse. So yeah.
Right. And you are doing something about it currently. So congratulations. What are some of your
Mhm.
healing strategies?
So one of my biggest one, which I recommend to, and this was given to me years ago by my third therapist, um, which is mindfulness. She was the therapist that I stayed the longest, and she was teaching mindfulness when it wasn't like, what is mindfulness? People didn't even know what that was back, back then. And so I do meditation a lot. So I have a little altar where I have singing bowls, I have tuning works. So I'm really into vibrational sounds. And sometimes I just sit there quiet. Sometimes I don't have to do anything, but just being in that space and just going within. And I've been doing that for a very long time. For me, is the only thing that I have found that has allowed me to reset my nervous system, that puts me in a place of peace. So if something is like chaotic, something's going on, I'm nervous, I'm afraid, or I'm going a little bit of paranoia, is where I run to. Like I sit there and I know that's my safe space. And also dance. I used to be a dancer. So I know if you saw some of my videos on my Instagram, I love to dance, and it's somatic work because a lot of the stuff is stuck in my body, especially the sexual abuse. So
Mhm.
dancing helps me, it's just like go, and I like singing. So to me, of course, I've done talk therapy and other things, but for me, these three things are at the top of my list. But I've done things like Reiki, became a Reiki master's, the spirituality. But those three things for me are the top three that has helped me.
Yeah, I think it's great to share because people don't know. And I will say in our
Yeah.
community, we don't do those things at all. They don't know about these things
Yeah.
at all. It's not discussed at all. So it's
Yeah.
good for you to share, and you're sharing your several because there's not one you have to stick with. There's not one like you found yourself because you know yourself. and you're learning. And so that's what people think and believe, like, oh, well, it don't work for me. So, oh, well, it just don't work anymore. Well, you went to three different therapists and you learned, you know what I mean? So kudos to you, because you have a lot of people that'll do that and be like, oh, okay, well, I quit. Well, what you found out what works for you because you tried some things. You have to. I think I always put that emphasis on extracurricular activity, which includes things like yoga, Reiki. You know what I mean? There are so many things that you can do, which is the reason why I like to offer those things. But you missed something important. I'm shocked. You don't do a lot of writing. You can't tell me I know that I'm
Oh,
talking to.
I do a lot of writing. So I, I actually believe in, and I've journal a lot, right? And I still do. I still do journal.
Okay.
And it's good and it helps me. But I think for me, the physical aspect is what is at the top of it. But I do journal, I do write. I have a Substack account where I talk about different things. I am writing a book, you know, calling In Search of Normal, because, you know, we're searching for this way of being, but this is what this is how we came up in the world, and learning how to embrace that. But when I do the writing, sometimes it puts me back in that space, and I have to do all this work in order to settle it down, because what writing does for me, it brings it up. So it brings it to the surface, which is not a bad thing. We want it to come to the surface so we can process it and, you know, throw it away.
Right.
But I think it also gets me a little riled up when I do writing. And I know when I'm about to do writing, I know it, like, you know, you're about to have to work through this thing after you finish writing these things. But it does help.
Okay. I just think you're so multi-talented. And so, of course, I'm like, oh, she does this. But I am excited that, you place priority on what works for you, because people need to know that too. I love that you talk about, how much we're talking about stress and the effects that it also has on our body. You know what I mean? And so for you, it's getting the physical, because instead of holding it in, I'm listening. When I tell you I'm listening to you, I'm listening to you, because it makes you powerful. It makes you the cycle breaker that you are. I always let people know when I'm talking to people that there's this superhero, and I know you have it in you, because we're all superheroes. To go through what we've went through and still, be here to have that conversation, kudos to you again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But if you had to choose a superhero, who would you choose?
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Whew.
Nice impromptu one for you, because you're a superhero to me. Like I said, I
If I
did my research. I have to, and not to say it like that, but you have a lot of people that want to come on a podcast, and that's fine. But I've been doing this one for quite a while, and people know that I use it for research. It's an educational tool. It's been used everywhere, worldwide. People have been having this conversation, but I want to continue the conversation. You know what I mean? And you're helping to do that just by sharing your story. And so that's what works for us. So I have to ask those questions, because we're not perfect. We have been through some things that really are not under our control. However, we live to see another day, and we're here, and we're healing, and we're doing what we need to do. You see how you smiling, like that's how I feel. So of course I didn't give you that superhero question, but think about it. If you had to choose one, who would
Hmm.
choose and why?
It's interesting because I would choose not just one superhero, but I would choose many.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because, to me, superhero is the one that, even though they've gone through some things, they believe in humanity. They still believe in humanity, despite their flaws, despite their shortcomings. Um, I think Gandhi is on that list for me.
I'll take that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Michael Jackson is another one,
Oh, mom,
despite his.
keep it real. Let's go.
So, yeah, and I think people don't give, because we look at all the other stuff, right? But we don't look at, this is what happened to me, and despite what happened to me, I'm living through these whatever this is,
Right.
but I'm still believe in humanity. Like they still show up and say, I still believe in humanity, right? But Gandhi, I would say, and the reason why I say Gandhi is because of this. I don't know if you've ever seen the Gandhi movie.
I have.
Okay. So there was a scene that changed my life in that movie, that allowed me to go into the space of work and healing, and was when he was doing the fasting. Um, he was fasting and he wasn't eating. Everybody was concerned.
Yep.
And this man comes to him and says that he had unalived um, a Muslim boy. And Gandhi asked, well, why did you do that? I said, well, because they did it to my son.
Mm.
So he says, but I know but so he was concerned that he was going to hell because he did that. And Gandhi says, I'll tell you what, you go look for a Muslim boy and you're going to raise him as your own, but you're going to raise him as a Muslim.
Mm.
And the man says, I'd rather go to hell. But for me, what I understood was if we can just look at people and just be present to who they are, as opposed to look at them from a lens of our own and say, this is who you are. I might not agree with some of your ways or some of whatever it is that you make choices to do, but my goal is to help you become a better version of you, not a better version of me, or not a better version of what society wants you to be. Like my goal is to help you become a better version of you, or whatever version that needs to become, not me try to change who you are. And so that it can be palatable to everybody else, because I had to be palatable for everybody else. So, finding your voice, I said, my goal is to help people find their voice and become whoever they want to become in this world and become it authentically. So, and sometimes mental health or struggling with these things is your authentic self. A lot of us run away from it. We shy away from it. We're afraid of it. But this is it. It is what it is, and it's not what it's not. And like I applaud you being a researcher, because it is through research that 20, 30 years from now, this might not be a conversation anymore.
Right.
So,
But we'll have us to continue.
yes. Mhm.
That's what makes you a superhero.
Mhm.
It's been my pleasure because we need more of you. You know what I mean? We need more of us to continue to have that conversation. So will you continue that conversation and bring ACEs awareness to your conversation?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I had posted in my stories the other day because I was so like, OMG. And I even posted your link, like, if anybody wants to take it. But I want to continue to have that conversation, because that to me was such an aha moment. Like, OMG, like this is what happened. This is what's been going on. And it can give you, to me, it's a map of at least where you can start to look for help, or even begin to take one thing and begin to have that conversation, right? So I definitely going to be talking about ACE for sure. Like I wanted to actually, so let me have the interview with her first before I start talking about ACE, because I was already like, oh my gosh, I gotta share this with the world, because I thought it was just such
It's
a
it's
eye
actually
opener.
been out there for so long. The problem is it's the things that we normalize in our community. So we normalize sexual abuse. We normalize these things. You know what I mean? Like I always tell people you have the three categories. I lived in household dysfunction. The crazy thing is I don't talk about the emotional neglect or the emotional abuse that I went through. I didn't at first, but now, honestly, I kind of have to. I mean, you're talking about abuse. It was normalized, you know what I mean? But when you think about it, it's not okay. That's just like sexual abuse is not okay. Physical abuse is not okay. And so I think that's the reason why, for me, it was more continuing to have the conversation and bring the awareness that way. And I couldn't put it any better than saying it's like having an appetizer before you get your meal or before you want your course, before you want to learn more and get some of you and what you got to offer, introduce them to ACEs, let them know what's going on. And so it'll make your job a lot easier when you going in and having those conversations because it'll also let them be aware and know what they're going through too. And that's what's been working. So again, it's just me being an educator, letting people know I did it, did the studies, did everything I had to do, but I also did the work professionally and personally because I have ACEs too. Actually, 1 in 3 of us have ACEs, and it's not even 1 in 3 have ACEs. We all have an ACE score, but with everything that's going on around us now, and that ACEs quiz we took, everybody got it. Period. No discussion about it because of the world and everything that's going on right now. The community violence itself, bullying. Bullying is so normalized, but it is not okay. So when you think about like those things, the umbrellas and the broader perspective, I'm just glad that there's more awareness brought to something that can actually change people and change their lives for real. So I thank you for being on here. Let everyone know where they can find you.
So I am on Instagram as Coach Raphaella, and that's Raphaella with PHA. And it can also go to my website, raphaellasilva.com. I do have a podcast that I'm going to be doing season 3 soon, which is Rafa Said It Here. So they can actually find me there as well.
I will tell you, we have a wonderful community. Our community consists of a whole bunch of people, and I'm telling you, you will love them. So if you're having a season 3, you all heard, I got a few people that would love to share their story because I'll be honest, that awareness has opened up a lot of eyes, seriously. And I also want to add you to the directory that we have. We have so many coaches, but they're really using it. Like take this ACE quiz and it helps so many people, it especially with the different types of coaches and therapists. So let's be clear, therapists use it as well, just to get a better understanding of their clients as well and the people that they're going to be working with. So from that perspective, I will let you know, please go onto my website. That ACEs one-on-one will actually be perfect for you. We have a class, chaos to clarity, because people have questions and it's like, so what's next? What can we do? But there's things out there that you can do, and that chaos to clarity cohort, I actually do it with the therapist. You know what I mean? Just to make
Okay.
sure that
Yeah.
I start off, you know what I'm saying? That's how I know it, not to say I know it works, but I start off with the therapist, a therapist. I do the introductory part. And so I talk about ACEs and then we just go down, as far as education. And then she finishes you up with any questions or concerns and things of that nature. So just to let you know, I am definitely here to help, and be a resource and a tool for you too, because I know for your writings to me, again, just learning about you a lot more was more of my pleasure than anything. So thank you again for being.
Oh, my pleasure to be here. And thank you for doing this work because it's because of people that decide I'm going to do the work. I'm going to be curious, want to, the research, want to do this. And that's why we have solutions. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm able to do the things that I do as well. So
I
I am
think for me
grateful.
too. I know I am too. I'm grateful for you too. Your experience is what makes you who you are. And people think that you have to have. I hear so many people, oh my God, Dr. Torie, Dr. Torie. Well, my experience was the key here. You know what I mean? It wasn't about me. Yeah, I got a degree. I went to school. Yeah, I do all this stuff. It's great. But it's your experience. Your experience is so valuable. It is. And if we could just look at people for that and use that and add that to our stories, that can also help people heal. And I'll say it in pause like I just did. It can help people heal. They need your self-love. They need you bad. So let's be clear. Tell them one more time, if somebody was looking for you right now, where can they go?
So Instagram, Coach Raphaella, and it's Raphaella with PHA, raphaellasilva.com, and also Rafa Said It Here on any podcast platforms that you can find out there.
You will see us, guys. You will see us working for more collaborations and things of this nature. So thank you again for another episode of Be Victorious. Y'all know where to find me. I'm everywhere. Dr. Victorious, you all please make sure you go and subscribe to her podcast and subscribe to mine. I want to take this time to thank you again. Thank you to my producer, and thank you for everyone tuning in. You all have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, you guys.